Welcome to Steve's Cottage with Steve Horner. Steve Horner, a former radio talk show host, helps spotlight the source of today's social chaos while offering practical solutions to the problems negatively affecting you and your family. And now, here's Steve.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Come on in. If the cottage is rocking, well, don't bother knocking. You're the type of person that we invite in without knocking or without reservations. I'm Steve Horner, your host, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, it's good to have your company. Got a great show here planned for you. It's called Here's to the Losers, and I'll explain what I mean by that. But as you know, big news yesterday, the Trumpster won, and by a mandate. Not only the popular election, not only the popular numbers, not only the electorate, but he's got the Congress, at least it looks like it, and the Senate, which is a new shift, and of course he's got the Supreme Court. So if anybody at this time was going to follow the projection of the liberals who said, well, he's going to be a dictator, he would have the ability to be a dictator. But as I've said before on this show, he's not a dictator. He's going to be loving, he's going to be just, he's going to be fair, but he is going to crack down and make sure that the laws are enforced properly. And you see, that's what the scoundrels on the liberal side, that's what they hate most about him. Well, so the Trump win not only put a little lead in my pencil, but it, as you can see, put a little hair on my head. And I'm okay with both. Now, when I look at Trump and I see this man who's up at 3 o'clock in the morning giving the nation his celebratory speech with all his wide-awake family, a good-looking group of people, that sometimes makes me feel a little small. You know, Trump is able to do this because, I mean, he's approaching his 80 years. He's a non-drinker. He's a non-smoker. He's a little overweight, but he's eloquent in his speech. Doesn't miss a beat. He's smart. He's intelligent. He is able to define his policies eloquently, and he's always on the move, day and night, 24/7. You know, it's kind of like what they say when you look at a 16,000-foot mountain. You can sometimes feel a little insignificant. I woke up this morning feeling a little insignificant to Donald Trump. And I used to feel a little insignificant after I read the story about Pliny the Elder. Pliny the Elder was a Roman statesman in the 1st century and always on the go. I mean, he'd go to bed early, wake up early, ran for governor, became governor, wrote books, had a family, did a job, always on the go. Go, go, go. Non-drinker, non-smoker, lots of energy, very spiritual. Look at those types of guys, Pliny the Elder and Donald Trump, compared to most of America. Shameful, ladies and gentlemen, shameful what the convenience of modern technology has done to our so-called free time, spare time, gobbled it up in gobbledygook. And when you look at Trump and Pliny the Elder, that's what we can do if we put our minds and heads to it. But I sure am glad that he won with that mandate. And so now let us continue to dwell on life's absurdities, which we often do here at Steve's Cottage. You know, as I prepared for this show 4 days ago, and that was well after this day after that was well before the day after election, I told myself that I was going to go out on a limb with you and say Trump's going to win by a landslide. And that's what I wrote down. Trump is going to win by a landslide 4 days ago. And I was right. I wasn't going to put any money on it because you never really do know. I said, well, there might be 51% dopes in America. As it turned out, there's only 49. Trump won the popular vote by 51 point some percentage points. And that is terrific. And he took a hell of a lot of electoral votes away from the cunt. Now, on this show, of course, cunt is an acronym. You see the title of my book. The book is called Cunt. It's a C period, U period, N period, T period. Cunts have their periods, but men, like Donald Trump and Pliny the Elder, we have our exclamation marks. Okay? We say what we mean, and we mean what we say. So, I went with Trump because that's my unflinching optimism of America. I mean, even an idiot can understand that a well-oiled democracy of the people, for the people, by the people, is preferable to a society run by a socialistic government, which is what the cunt, or I also refer to Kamala as the mutt. That's what she was presenting. And a society, based on the initiatives of the people is certainly preferable to me. It's based on their judgment of success and the individual's hopes and dreams and aspirations and initiatives. And that's versus a society where an individual's potential for success is capped based on the government's assessment of what you deserve. So we really dodged a bullet, ladies and gentlemen. We really dodged a huge bullet yesterday. The American public came through. Good work. And who is the government these days? Well, yes, it's the elected officials, but primarily it's mostly the liberal-minded cunts who run the tens of thousands of government administration offices inside each government building in every town and county and state across the nation. They're the ones who decide who gets the favors and who doesn't. You see? That's Kamala the cunt. These are the decisions based on sentimentalism, not pragmatism. Sentimentalism by these cunts running the government offices. Who gets the favors? It's not based on pragmatism, meaning cause and effect. If you do this, this is likely to result. They don't have that wiring. Women don't have that wiring. And that's why you'll see 1 Timothy, and I'm not a big Bible thumper once again, but you'll see in 1 Timothy chapter 2, 9 to 12, that I'm not the first to talk about the different wiring, the different mechanism in the creation of men and women. Cunts, is an acronym. Can't understand normal thinking. That kind of means maybe they're stupid? No, it kind of means that they operate with that sentimental feeling of life. That's how they operate. They'll buy a red car versus a car that, might get good mileage, like a man might look at, or a good transmission. So, cunt, the word cunt is not a vulgarity here on this show. It's an epidemic. The short-sighted blindness, the short-sighted bias of these women, it blinds them to the effectiveness of pragmatism. For these cunts, society is engaged in a race to the bottom. Dig this, okay? The sentimentalism. the huge border violations, the who gets the welfare based on each other's gender, race, color, creed. Sentimentalism, not pragmatism. You see? If it's equally doled out based on pragmatism, there are no inconsistencies. There are no hypocrisies. And so that's strengthening. Instead of hypocritical policies, that can become maddening and frustrating. And you're wondering, well, why do they get the favors and not me? Well, Steve, because you're a white guy. You were born that way. Bullshit. I work hard to get where I'm at. And you felt that way too, right? These are the sentimental cunts running the country. And just think of this. And you know how they do this? They make their decisions based on your social equity score. For instance, do you have PTSD or autism? Oh, you do? Oh, that's 5 points. Mm-hmm. What church do you attend? Oh, you don't go to church? You're an atheist? Oh, that's 5 points. You're doing good here. Say, how many illegitimate children do you have? Oh, 3? That's 5 points for each child. That's beautiful. What race are you? So-called minorities get 2 points on that one, even though they're not in the majority anymore. What is your gender? How do you identify? Everybody but white males get a point on that one. What's your sexual identity? Everyone but straight guys like Steve get a point. What's your business? Female-run so-called nonprofits score heavy on this one. Are you a drug addict? Criminal? High points for both. High school graduate? If not, that's 3 points. All these offices run by cunts. That's how they assess who gets the favors and who doesn't. If a token man is in charge, he better toe the line. Otherwise, he's out on his ass. Now, here's the bullet we dodged. Imagine an entire country run by a cunt with a trickle-down cunt mandate empowering all these cunts under her to be cunts, to be nasty, arrogant, vindictive, can't understand normal thinking. That's the way it would have been. Look at these many, many European countries that are now run by cunts. Mexico is now run by a cunt. Ask yourself, how are these countries faring? They're busted. Immigrants, they're underwater financially. Crime is skyrocketing. How would America fare if a cunt was in charge of this cunt-oriented mandate with a trickle-down cunt mandate? I'll tell you how. The makers would be penalized and the takers would be rewarded. Remember, I'm writing this 4 days out. She and the people who voted for her will always be losers in my book. Always be losers in my book. You're a loser. You're a loser. And you are what you appear to be. Of all the campaigns you have won and have lost, there is one you should never have crossed. He is a man in 10 million, you dope. He's left you bruised and tangled up in the ropes. You're a loser, and you lost to a man who's dear to me. You're a loser, and you are what you appear to be. Although you laugh and you act like a clown, beneath that mask you are wearing a frown. Your tears are falling like rain from the sky. Is it for you or the dopes that you cry? You're a loser. loser, and you lost to a man who's dear to me. You're a loser, and you are what you appear to be. Oh, baby. Kamala the loser, the chump, and the chumps who voted for her. And boy, oh boy, can I relate to that. Okay? Now, here's the deal. Back in the 90s, I ran for school board. I was doing knee-deep in single parenting. You can go to stevehornerbooks.com, and we won't do that right now, Sean. You can go to stevehornerbooks.com, and you'll see my single parenting book. And in the 90s, as I'm knee-deep in that the responsibilities of that, I found time to run for school board member. I was also on the Dakota County Human Services Advisory Board, nominated by a former mayor. So I was busy, but having fun, being involved. So I ran for school board, and only 56,000 people. Now this was the fastest growing county in Minnesota, a chump state. But back then it was okay. And I was raised in the 40s, 50s, 60s there, very conservative state. It's a real chump, George Floyd type of lunatic, social issues, cunt-oriented state now. I'm glad to have seen it in my rearview mirror in 1999. But in the 90s, I ran for school board. 56,000 showed up, a small percentage. They were the ones who voted, and I came in a measly 9th out of 12th. But I spoke up. In those candidate forums, I was asked a lot of different questions. When do you think the kids ought to be first exposed to sex? And I said about the time they are exposed to using crayons. A lot of people go, oh, no. Oh, wow, oh, no. Well, they got the wrong idea, you see, because at that time, we're talking about birth control and all that gas. I'm talking about the mechanics, at age-sensitive age. Get them to understand that men and women are different, and I think as you appreciate the differences, the level of respect rises. That's what I was talking about. But they took it all, oh, no, he wants to do the transgender thing and all this kind of... Nope, didn't. I wanted to raise their awareness of the differences that God created in us so that they would have more respect for the human body. And they said, okay, Mr. Horner, now, this is a big candidate forum. I've got several hundred people there asking questions. And I'm at this deity, and they're saying, well, what do you think is the cause of today's social issues? And everybody wants to play the blame game, right? Not me. I said, there's a mirror in your pocket. Let's pull it out. Everybody pull out your mirror. Open it up. Oh, there you are. Oh, well, that's the problem with today's society, looking right at you. It's called apathy. They didn't like that. They didn't like to be known as the people who are to blame for the breakdown of society. So I wrote an article, and it was published in the Apple Valley Sun Current, and it headlined out by saying, "Here's to the losers." And I'm talking to you about this too, because we came too close to losing our democratic society for the people, by the people, of the people. Okay? We came too damn close to the edge. So I wrote, so we don't want to do that again. We don't want to walk with that apathetic fool anymore. We want to be more proactive. Make a difference. Let your voice be heard. So I wrote this letter, and it was published, and I got nice response from it. This is to all the losers in the recent District 196 school board election. No, I'm not referring to the 10 candidates who weren't elected. They, along with the 2 winners and their respective families, are to be commended for offering to serve 3 years of their lives to help better the school children of District 196. With endless meetings, phone calls from irate, inquisitive, and misinformed parents, and a continual avalanche of material and information that must be read and understood in preparation for each board meeting. Sounds like a lot of hard work for just about $300 a month. I'm talking about the losers who didn't take the time to vote in this year's election. You know, there was only like 100 million out of 340, probably out of 200 eligible voters who voted. So only 50% of the people in America voted. Getting back to the letter, about 90% of the eligible voters in the district apparently didn't care enough about the fact that 55% of their property taxes goes to the school district, and the legislature just voted to raise the amount another 6% annually. I'm talking about the losers who apparently don't care about the curriculum that's being taught to these kids, not only today, but what might be taught tomorrow, or what might not be taught. I'm talking about the losers who spend more time at the shopping malls and making money than with their kids discussing what the results of their last test score was or when their next test or assignment is due, only to blame the teachers or curriculum when the kids do poorly in school or have discipline problems. I'm also talking about the losers who were particularly vindictive and critical of some of the candidates. I listened to your abuse on the phone at home, and I saw your scowls of disapproval at the various candidate forums. There was never a word of optimism, praise, or suggestion on how the operation might work better. From you, there was only pessimism and cynicism. And I doubt you'd ever have the guts to run on your own and publicly allow yourself to be scrutinized by people like yourself. I think we have a pretty good school district here in 196, and I was thoroughly engrossed with the experience of running. Well, that's the name of the game, ladies and gentlemen. That's apathy. Oh, by the way, my friend Carol, you've heard me talk of her before. West Covina, California. She's a few years older than me, but she's a gas. And we break up and we come together. We break up, we come together. She said she went to vote personally with her son yesterday in California. Nobody asked her for an ID. They said, "What's your name?" She gave them the name. They said, "Okay, here's your vote ballot." That was it. She didn't have to clarify or verify her identification. Now, I have since put together the pieces of what happened in Donald Trump's loss in 2020. I'm going back to the 90s. In the 90s, you might remember when all the cunts, they said, well, these illegal Mexicans, you got to have a heart, Steve. They come into the country and they can't go to the work, so they need driver's licenses. Oh, so we need to accommodate their lawlessness. Well, you don't really understand, Steve. They got families. Okay, fine. So that's what they did. Now, they were then able to use their licenses to validate their identity. It didn't mean citizenship. That law has changed now. You got a little gold star in your driver's license. That means that you've gone through the process of bringing in your birth certificate. That was a pain in the ass when I had to do it, but very commendable. So slowly but surely, you see. So for many, many years, they were able to vote with just that driver's license because that's all the identification that they needed. See? See how crooked it was? See how stupid the cunts were? And the pussy whip guys that followed along for many, many years. And now in 2020, apparently there were still enough of those guys with those original driver's licenses that were able to vote. And they received those early ballots at home or wherever they were living, signed it, brought it in, because their signature was still good from when they went to get their goddamn driver's license as illegal Mexicans or Guatemalans, wherever the hell they were, and that carried over until 2020. I think by now they were all pretty much expired because I think it looked like the election was pretty square. At least you won't see Donald Trump complain. because he won. And that's why I got the hair today. Well, it's been a fun time. I'm real happy to have joined you. And remember, when you get to those big mountains and you make your big treks to the top of the mountain, get off that well-worn trail and get off into the least traveled trail a little bit more often. It's a little tougher, but the challenge will be better. It'll make you feel better about yourself, and the view from the top, much better. Until then, you can take real good care of yourself.
Thanks for joining us. Visit Steve's Cottage again with Steve Horner.